So they're trying to figure out how to open this place, and it's got a password to it. Finch, Marcola. Marcola, Finch, Natsiu, Marcola, Winslow. Looks like there's 4 combinations? Looks like there's 4 sides for each. Metal, diamond, bird, powder box? At the dinner party, where were Lady Winslow, Dr. Marcola, Countess Conti, Madame Natso, and Baroness Finch. So 5 names. Winslow, Marcola, Conti, Natso, Finch. The women sat in a row. They all wore different colors, and Baroness Finch wore a jaunty red hat. Okay, so Finch wore a red hat. Countess Canty was on the far left, next to a guest wearing a green jacket. Okay. Conti's far left. These don't seem to indicate colors at all, but they could help us figure out which one's which. Finch is in red, but that's not useful right now. Is that a thing I can read? No? Okay. So the guest next to Conti, so second from the left, is wearing green. Finch is wearing red. Lady in blue sat left of someone in white. Okay. Blue is left of white. So it goes something green, and then it's either red, blue, white, or blue, white, red. Right? Left of someone right. Yeah, it's either right, blue. It's either red, blue, white, or blue, white, red. I remember that blue outfit because the woman spilled her rum all over it. The traveler from Dubokva was dressed entirely in purple. Wait, that's another color. Is that any of them? How many colors are here? Okay. When one of the dinner guests bragged about her diamond, the woman next to her said they were finer in Dubokva, where she lived. So Dubokva is wearing purple. Dubokva's on the far left because she doesn't have a color. She's the one person that doesn't have a color yet, right? So Conti is Dubokva, I think. When one of the dinner guests bragged about her diamond, the woman next to her said they're finer in Dubokva, where she lived. Let's come up with a standard thing. I'm gonna default these all to Finch. These are all gonna be powder boxes for now, just so I can keep them separate from each other. Obviously, it gets confusing if I find out which one's the powder box, but otherwise, it's not great. So you're a diamond, because we listed all the colors, and so she has to be purple, as far as I can tell. And going by that assumption, the person next to her has the diamond, and Finch and powder boxes are still unknown. Okay. So she's from Dubokva, she's purple, and next to her is a diamond. So Dr. Marcola showed off a prized bird pendant, at which the lady from Bailton scoffed, saying it was no match for her snuff tin. So that's what we're calling it, snuff tin. Okay. So Dr. Marcola is not from Dubokva and not from Bailton. Right. Not from Dubokva, not from Bailton, but she has a bird pendant. Whoever the Bailton person is has a snuff tin. Someone else carried a valuable ring, and when she saw it, the visitor from Freyport next to her almost spilled her neighbor's whiskey, which is different from rum. Great. So somebody else has a ring, and next to her is the person from Freyport. That's not very useful yet. Lady Winslow raised her beer in toast. Oh my god, they have jacket colors or origins of country, names, one item of theirs, and they're all drinking different alcohol, possibly, because we have beer, whiskey, and rum now. So Winslow had a beer. The lady from Karnaca, full of wine, jumped onto the table. falling onto the guest in the center seat, spilling the poor woman's absinthe. That's great. Another type of alcohol. Then, Madame Nassau captivated them all with a story about her wild youth in Dunwall. And the next morning, there were 4 heirlooms under the table: the diamond, the war medal, the snuff tin, and the ring. But who owned each? Goody. We should be able to look at this from enough directions, like, oh, this person's from Karnaca, and this person has that alcohol, and so on and so forth. And we should be able to be able to have some sort of process of elimination here. Alright, here's my visual summary. I can probably make the font a little... Nah, it's not. Screw with this right now. Alright, so here's my summary. So here you can see a screenshot of the text. Here's my translation of the text. I've closed the game at this point and saved and everything, and I'm just trying to process this. So this is it. Most of the fluff taken out, and it's color-coded. So, like, yellow is people, purple is colors, green is where they're sitting, orange is where they're from, and black is what their relic is. And the 3 pieces of information we need to solve, beyond a doubt, are yellow, green, and black. Because we need to match the names with the items. They also have to be in the correct slots. And purple and orange are there to help us solve that. It's not going to be easy, necessarily. But I am happy to see a puzzle. I like puzzle games. This is not really a puzzle game, but it gave me a genuine puzzle either way. So one of my main approaches I want to do here, I think, is that... what's drawing my attention right now is that it says not so is from Dunwall. So that makes me interested, because that means that that's the first time we see Dunwall mentioned anywhere in this entire thing. Or her, even. So... we could find out a lot about what not so isn't, for example, by asking ourselves, when do other names come up, and when do other locations come up, and we can cross out all of those things from being not so. Like, not so's not wearing purple, she doesn't have wine, she doesn't have beer, and so on and so forth. And by the way, if you want to solve this alongside me, this is your chance. You can pause it. No, that doesn't quite fit, does it? Well, you can pause it here if you can read that, I hope. And you can see if you can solve it yourself, and we can compare notes later. Alright, so let's solve everything we can about not so, specifically this column right here. Yes, I've totally made I just came out here and made the logic grids you did when you were a kid, basically. So, Finch wears red. You know what that means? We can go down to color and say red. It's none of those things. A Conti in slot 1... I said I was going to talk about not so, but let's start from the beginning then. Conti is in slot 1. Sure. That means no one else is in slot 1. There we go. Might as well put a little X in there to indicate that it's solved in those cases. And maybe I should center these just so the X stands out a little bit more. There we go. So she's slot 1, she's next to green. That means that Conti is not green. Crap. There we go. Conti is not green. There we go. Blue is sat left of white. I can't represent that on this necessarily. Except that I can say, well, if I had numbers and colors in the same grid, I could say that blue is not in slot 5, because blue has to be left of something. Blue spilt rum on herself. That's also not something I can represent very well from this tree, but we can think about that over time. We can say Debokva wore purple. So, purple. This is going to... yeah, that's a little hard. I only have things based on names, so I can't represent a lot of these things very well here. But some of the stuff we'll have to do separate from this, or I'll have to make more ridiculous tables separately from that. So, Debokva's next to diamond, so Debokva does not have diamond. Marsola has a bird pendant. There we go. So Marsola has the bird. So we can give them an X. There we go. So Marsola has the bird pendant. Bailton has a snuff tin, whoever Bailton is. Rings next to Freyport, which is next to whiskey. It's not... I think I need to make more goddamn tables just to correlate some of these things with each other. There might be a different way of displaying this kind of information that I'm not familiar with, but this is the first thing that came to my mind. And it kind of works for some of this stuff. Alright, so Winslow has a beer. So Winslow... I didn't make one for alcohol, did I? I didn't. Whoops. There we go. I'm not sure how I made that mistake earlier. I had, like, colors were blue. Then down here I made colors purple for some reason, when it's supposed to be alcohol. So that's a whole other row that needs to be included. This is going to take a long time. Winslow had a beer. So these two. And these two. A capital X does look better. I'm going to spend an eternity on this. This is going to have to be some sort of like weird separate video, isn't it? It totally will. That's what's going to happen here. I'm going to make a whole goddamn video just for this damn puzzle. I don't give a shit. Karnaca has wine. Alright, so I want to... Let's see. Karnaca falls on blue, which has... Okay, sure. Or falls on 3. Okay, so I wanted to do what I was originally thinking about, which is that I wanted to go start from Natsu, who is from Dunwall. Start from that. And try to reverse from there. There we go. So Natsu is from Dunwall. We know that. And based on that mention, we can make a bunch of conclusions about Natsu here, based on the other conclusions here. So, Debokva wear purple. That means that Natsu is not wearing purple. Also, why is the hotkey for repeat previous action in OpenOffice Calc freaking Control-Shift-Y? That's so hard to do with one hand when I'm trying to do a mouse here and click around. I have my hand sideways on the keyboard like a lunatic. Okay. So Natsu, first of all, Finch wore red, so Natsu's not wearing red. That checks out. Kant is in slot 1, so Natsu's not in slot 1. Yep. Who's next to green? Natsu could wear green. Blue is sat left of white. That's not helpful. Blue spilled her rum on herself. It does. What do we know about rum's alcohol with her? We know nothing about it yet. So she could be blue with rum, for all we know. She's not wearing purple because Devolk could wear purple. She's next to diamond. Technically, Natsu could be diamond. Marcella has bird pendant, yeah. Bailton has a snuff tin. Natsu is not Bailton, so Natsu does not have a snuff tin. There we go. The ring is next to Freyport, which is next to whiskey. I don't know if we can get any information from that. Winslow has beer. So that's been taken care of. Karnaca has wine. We don't know who Karnaca is, but we know that Natsu is not from Karnaca, because she's the one person we get the location of, so she does not have wine. Karnaca falls on the person in slot 3, who has absinthe. That could technically be Natsu for all we know. Okay, so that's maybe all we've gotten from the information from her individual thing. Sure. Oh, yes. This is where we have found ourselves. Because fuck it. Oh yeah, by the way, that means I kind of skipped a step didn't I there? If you cross in an X, it goes both ways, obviously. Nobody else can have that color, but also that person can have nothing else in that category. So let's fill those in real quick. If Dunwall is not so, then no one else can be Dunwall, for example. There we go. X's are filled in. They always have to stop at these outlines, though. These outlines are the locations. Those are the individual categories. He. Are you scared yet? I have no idea how many... I have no idea if anyone's going to watch this. Alright, so, going back through our rules here again. Finch wore red. That's now on there. Conti is in slot 1. Yes. Next to green, which means that Conti is not green. I did that right. Conti. Slot 1 next to green, which Conti is not green. Got it. Blue sat left of white. That means that blue cannot be in slot 5. Blue cannot be in slot 5 because it's left of something. But it could... Hang on a second. Blue's left of white, so it can't be in slot 5, but Conti's in slot 1 next to green. So Conti is left of green, which means blue cannot be in slot 1 because it's left of white, but also can't be in slot 2 because green is in slot 2. That's important. So that means you're not there or there. You're not in slot 1 or 2. It also means that green is in slot 2. So green is in slot 2. This is fun for me, by the way. What's wrong with me? I haven't... I'm actually excited about this. I just have the weird problem of being a YouTube person where I'm like, do I make content out of this? Does it become its own weird private video? I don't know. I don't know if I'll even upload this as a video people can publicly see. I might upload it as a thing that you can only find via an annotation. I don't know. Meh. If I put it on a video where the thumbnail says puzzle, then people who aren't watching Dishonored might still click on it because they like watching me solve puzzles, because some people definitely like watching me solve puzzles, so maybe that is the best way to handle that. So Conti's in slot 1 next to green. So Conti, yes, in slot 1, which is... And Conti's not green, and green is specifically in slot 2, so nothing else can be slot 2. Good. Blue sat left of white. And that also means that white cannot be slot 1. Let's see. White cannot be in slot 1 because Conti is in slot 1. And blue is left of it. If blue is left of something, then that means that the thing that's left of cannot be in slot 1. So this white has to be to the right of something, and it can't be to the right of... It can't be in slot 3. There we go. White can't be in slot 3 because slot 2 is green, and to the left of white is blue. So that means that blue and white are, where we said before, are in blue is in 3 or 4, white is in 4 or 5. Blue spilled rum on herself. So blue has rum. There we go. Which means we can get rid of even more stuff on this tree. There we go. I wish I had a better hotkey for that exact function. It's fine. Okay. So now blue has rum. I should just full screen this at this point. Maybe zoom in slightly. There we go. I was going to change the font size, but changing the font size makes it harder to... that'll mess with the tabbing I did on the bottom. I guess this messed with it anyway, because now the orange is messed up. It's fine. Who cares? So blue spilled rum. Debokva wore purple. So Debokva is purple. I'm gonna fill this whole goddamn thing in. And I encourage you to find your own solution and compare notes at the end if you want, and we'll see who comes up with the answer, and then we'll find out which one is right in the actual episode. Or people will just watch the solution as I do it, which I hopefully find. Holy shit, if I don't find it. Debokva is next to diamond, so that means two things. Debokva is not diamond, first of all. And that also means that diamond is not purple. So that's a triangle of things being cancelled out. Purple and diamond are not the same thing. But Debokva is purple. Yes. Okay. I really hope I can actually find out solutions from this. So Marcola has the Purd Pendant. Yeah, I've already done that one. Bailton has a Snuff Tin. So Snuff Tin, Bailton. There we go. Now we can visually represent all of the things I'm knowing here, hopefully. Ring is next to Freyport, which is next to Whiskey. We don't know if Whiskey or Ring are the same person, because technically if you're next to something, you're next to the other thing, even if it's the same person, so that might be a roundabout way of saying that Whiskey and Ring are the same person, or it could not be. It could be the Freyport is surrounded by two different people that have Ring and Whiskey separately. All we know is that Wing and Whiskey are both not Freyport. That's the main thing we know. The one big problem with this entire system is that this way of displaying stuff does not let us see what's next to what. So Freyport is not whiskey. And Freyport does not have the ring. There we go. Winslow has beer. Oh, that's a name, so I would have already put it down. Karnaca has wine. Wine. Karnaca. There we go. Some of these are getting closer and closer to actually narrowing it down to something in some of these cases, I think. Alright. Karnaca falls on the person in slot 3, so Karnaca is very much not in slot 3. That person has absinthe, so Karnaca does not have... We already knew that, because Karnaca has wine, right? Karnaca has wine, so that doesn't matter. Slot 3 has absinthe. That's the takeaway here. Absinthe, slot 3. That's progress. There we go. So absinthe is slot 3. That's us from Dunwall. Okay. So, this is kind of a progress. I need to come up with another plan of attack somewhere on here. Here's a new plan of attack. Absinthe is absolutely in slot 3. That means we can say anything else that's attached to any other alcohol is not in slot 3. So rum. Rum is not in slot 3, which means blue is not in slot 3. So slot 3 cannot feature blue. That's a start. Sure. And I'm happy I color code this stuff to help me out here. This one's too vague to make sense of a little bit. Winslow has beer, so Winslow is not in slot 3. Do we know where Winslow is yet? No. So Winslow's not in slot 3. Karnaca has wine, so Karnaca is not in slot 3. I guess we already said that. Natso's from Dunwall, that's not helpful. Slot 3 is absinthe. Is that all I get from that? We're so close. Like how 3 can be red or purple. Can I narrow that down at all? Oh, blue. I narrowed blue down to being slot 4. That's good news. I really hope I don't make any mistakes, by the way. Because if I make a mistake, I won't even be able to detect when the mistake was made. So blue has to be slot 4. We narrowed it down to that. Which means no one else can have slot 4. Which is important. Because blue is next to white. Which you can see here was narrowed down here too. So white has to be in slot 5. So we'll just narrow these down. There we go. That's a big deal. Now it comes down to whether red or purple is in slot 1 or 5. But we've at least narrowed that down. So where does blue show up? Blue is left of white. Blue spilled rum on herself. So rum is... Rum has to be in slot 4. There we go. Really hope I don't make a mistake here. So, blue is rum. Rum had to make a mistake here. Okay. I've got to change the color I'm using to fill the stuff in because it's going to blur in with the outlines, isn't it? I'll finish this line of thought real quick first, though. So blue spilled rum on themselves. White is next to blue. Unfortunately, white is never mentioned again, and blue is never mentioned again. But maybe we narrowed something else down? So here's one thing. Debokva is wearing purple. That's a start. Debokva is next to diamond. So we don't know... So here's the thing. Debokva is next to diamond. Debokva is either wearing... since they're purple, purple has to be in either slot 1 or 3. Oh, that's iffy. So that means purple has to be in slot 1 or 3. Because it's who they are. So... Debokva... So it's purple is 1, 3. Debokva has to be in 1 or 3. To match purple. So there's a start. Debokva is next to diamond. That means that diamond cannot be in 1 or 3. It can only be... The only way to be next to 1 or 3 would be into 2 or 4. So diamond is not in 1, 3, or 4, because it has to be next to Debokva. And it has to not be Debokva. And since the two spots Debokva can be in are not next to each other, then its own spaces are not counted as places it could be in. So there's a start. Unfortunately, we don't know much of anything else about diamond, I don't think. Marcola has the bird pendant. Marcola cannot be in rank 1, so the bird pendant cannot be in rank 1. Karnaca has wine, but wine can't be in slot 4, so neither can Karnaca. Similarly, Winslow has beer, but beer cannot be in slot 4, so neither can Winslow. I said red can be in slot 1 or 3, but Kant is in slot 1. Conti is in slot 1, and Finch wore red. Therefore... red can't be in slot 1, because that's Conti, not Finch. So, red is in slot 3, which means purple is in slot 1. This is satisfying. I lost track of which color I was using. Oh, wait, no, it's still up there in the corner, so I can just click it. No, I can't. Never mind. Where's the paint? There it is. Aha. Nope. It's not working correctly. Damn it. Is it gray 3? Is that the one I'm using? No, it's not. Ah. Gray 4. Okay, gray 4 is the one I've been using. Okay. Now we know which color is which. Okay, so Finch is wearing red in slot 3. That's a big deal. Now we know where Finch is. So now we know who's sitting in slot 3. That was the breakthrough. That's huge for this. Did that narrow anything down? Not quite. But that means that purple is in slot 1. That means Debokva's in slot 1. That's something. What do you know about Debokva? Debokva's purple. So purple and Debokva are in slot 1. Diamond's not in slot 1, we now know, because Debokva's next to Diamond. And we've confirmed that Debokva's in slot 1. Wait. We just confirmed that Debokva is Conti in slot 1. Okay, so Diamond has to be in slot 2 then. Because we know that Debokva's in slot 1 with Diamond, with purple. I really hope I'm not messing up anywhere, because if I do, then this thing has to be started over entirely, and I don't know if I could do that to myself. So we know that Diamond has to be slot 2. I'm trying very carefully not to go too fast so I don't make a mistake. Diamond has to be in slot 2, next to Debokva, which is slot 1, which is purple, because we confirmed... This is all happening because we confirmed that Conti is in slot 1, and can't be Finch, who is red. Okay. Yes, Finch is down in slot 3, which means red is in slot 3. Did I do that already? Colors, red is slot... Yeah, I did that already. So Diamond is in slot 2. Do we know anything else about Diamond? Not really, but we can cancel out any of these other things being in slot 2. That's a start. So where do we go from there? Marcola has bird pendant. Well, we know that Conti's in slot 1, so the bird pendant's not Conti, so it's not in slot 1. Whoopsie. Stop. That was almost bad. We don't know what's in slot 1. That was a really weird, bad misclick there. So Marcola has a bird pendant. It could be in any of these slots. Yeah, that's fine. I don't know why I started doing that. For a second there, that was completely wrong. The ring is next to Freyport. Where could the Freyport be? Anywhere besides slot 1? Okay, the ring is next to Freyport. So Freyport could be where? Freyport could have the diamond, couldn't they? No, because Dubokva has the diamond. That means that Freyport doesn't have the diamond. Which is represented down here. This is the cross-section between this stuff. Diamond is in slot 2. Now Dubokva's next to the diamond. God damn it. That's gotta be careful. So the ring is next to Freyport, which is next to whiskey. We don't know which way that's going, but we know that whiskey can only be 1, 2, and 5. That means that in order to be next to whiskey, if you could be next to whiskey if you're 1, 2, or 3, or even 4, but if whiskey can't be 4, then 5 can't be next to whiskey. That means that both the ring and Freyport can't be in 5. So Freyport cannot be in 5. And ring cannot be in 5. A little bit more filled in there. Except no, not that. No, we're not going to cancel out ring because I'm still not entirely sure if they mean ring and whiskey are the same person or not, or if they're different people. Here's one. We know that Winslow has beer, but Winslow cannot be in 1, 3, or 4. That means that beer cannot be in 1, 3, or 4. Crap. Cannot be in 1, 3, or 4. So beer has to be in 2 or 5. It also says that Karnaca has wine, but Karnaca can't be in slot 1 because Dubokva is, so wine cannot be in slot 1. And I keep hitting the wrong button there. So beer or wine are in 2 and 5. Nothing else can be in 2 and 5 then. If beer and wine can only be in 2 and 5, that means that whiskey has to be in 1, I believe. That has to work, right? Yeah. So if whiskey's in 1, that means that Kant has whiskey. That's not contradicted yet, right? So Kant has whiskey in slot 1, is from Dubokva, and is purple, and does not... They're next to diamond, so they don't have a diamond. They don't have a bird pendant. Okay, now I can... Is there any mentions of whiskey? Oh, if Kant is in slot 1 with whiskey, that means that Freyport has to be in slot 2 because it's next to whiskey. Still not sure about the ring. But Freyport has to be in slot 2 because that's next to whiskey. Stop pressing the wrong buttons, dummy. There we go. That means Karnaca has to be in slot 5 with the white. Okay. I'm just gonna keep... Oopsie. I'm just gonna keep assuming that I'm doing this right. So Freyport is in slot 2. The ring is next to slot 2 then. The ring has to be in slots 1... The ring has to be in slots 1 or 3. Okay, 1 or 3. So these two can be cancelled out. Whatever they are. So the ring is in slot 1 or 3. I can't tell if it's the whiskey person or not. I think it's not the whiskey person, but I'm going to assume that we're not clear yet. That means that Dunwall or Bailton have to be in either 3 or 4. Are there any other references to those things? That means Nazio has to be in 3 or 4. Yeah, Dunwall can't be in 2, so Nazio can't be in 2. So Nazio has to be in 4 or 6. Okay. Can't narrow that down anymore. Here's a gap. I've said that Natso is Dunwall, and I've said that Natso can be in 4 or 5, but I've said before that Dunwall can only be in 3 or 4. Do I know why that is? It's because Karnaca's in 5? I said Karnaca was in 5 because of what? Why were they in 5? Was it the wine? No. I just have to assume I'm right about Karnaca being 5. I don't remember what it was, but a while ago that happened. So if Dunwall can only be in 3 or 4, and Natso is Dunwall, but Natso could be in 4 or 5, that means that Dunwall has to be Natso in 4, because it's the only one they share. Because Dunwall can't be in 5, and Natso can't be in 3. That's a big deal. So we can narrow that down. Narrow that down. That means Bailton has to be in 3. Okay. That means Bailton, slot 3. Slot 3 has absinthe. That means Bailton has absinthe. Absinthe. Let's find Bailton. X, there we go. I think I'm getting closer now. So there's a start right there. Whew. Okay. Oh, missed one square. There we go. If anyone has somehow never done these before and doesn't know what they're talking about, why whenever I get an X, I cross out everything above and next to it, that's because in this case, everything's 1-to-1. Every woman has 1 color, 1 drink, 1 item, and 1 origin point, 1 location that's their home. And so as a result, if you find out any correlation like this pendant is from this country, then that country cannot have any other heirlooms, so you cross out all the heirlooms for that country besides the pendant, and that pendant can't have any other countries, so that country gets crossed out for all of them. Like that's why you cross out the horizontals and verticals and say those can't be true, is because they can't go anywhere else. Let's see. Here's something. Debokva. So we know that Kant has to be Debokva, which has to have whiskey, which means that Debokva can't have anything besides, it has to have whiskey. So this is whiskey. There we go. I think we're now getting to the point where things are cascading to the point where now I can just keep finding the spots where overlap happens. Okay, so it says that beer, I need to figure out whether Freyport and beer, we have Freyport and Dunwall can either be beer and rum. Up here, do I know anything about, so beer, rum has to be in slot 4. We know slot 4 is Dunwall, so Dunwall has to be rum. So yeah, rum and Dunwall are slot 4, therefore rum equals Dunwall, which means that beer equals Freyport. And that helps because Freyport we know is in slot 2. And since we know Freyport's in slot 2, and Freyport is beer, that means that beer is in slot 2. Which means wine is in slot 5. I really hope I'm not making a mistake because it takes a really long time to do this, and I don't think I can do it again. Okay. We have 4 completely filled in blocks now. Here we go. Diamond, right here, is in slot 2. Only Winslow and Marcola can be in slot 2. That means the diamond can't be any of these other people. And yeah, because it's in slot 2, so it can't be any of the people that can't be in slot 2. Right? Right, that makes sense. Which means that the diamond is Winslow in slot 1. I really hope I'm right. So we can cross out these ones now. So the diamond has to be Winslow in slot 1. Sorry, what? I think I did something wrong here. No, I'm right. I was saying it wrong. Say Control Y is redo. There we go. Diamond has to be Winslow in slot 2. I was saying, me saying slot 1 out loud incorrectly made me panic thinking I was wrong, but it was just the thing I said that was wrong, but I was filling it in correctly and saying it wrong. So diamond is in slot 2, it's Winslow, so that means Marcola is in slot 5, because there's nowhere else to put him. And Marcola has the pendant. So we now know everyone's positions. It goes Kant, Winslow, Finch, not so, Marcola. Now we need to figure out what they're holding. If I can figure out what everyone's holding, we're done then. Alright, so Kant is in slot 1. And we don't know what... Let's see. So Winslow's in slot 2 with diamond, sure. Marcola has the bird pendant. That's the other thing we know already. Marcola's in slot 5. That means the bird pendant is in slot 5. That might be the last thing I need to know to fill this in. Is knowing that the bird pendant's in slot 5. Because then no one else can be in slot 5. That doesn't narrow down that much. So Snuff Tin, Ring, and War Metal can have to be in 1, 3, and 4. How can I narrow that down? It says Baleton has the Snuff Tin. Oh, Baleton has a Snuff Tin. I know where Baleton is now. I figured that out earlier. So now Baleton has a Snuff Tin in slot 3. Because he's over here. We already confirmed that they're in slot 3. Which means the Ring has to be in slot 1. War Metal has to be in slot 4. Oh my god. And the rest of the puzzle's not solved. There's big chunks of empty, unsolved area. I could probably fill the entire thing in, but I have what I need. I need to know who was where and what they had in each slot. So, based on that alone, I should be able to solve this. So let's, for easier reference, let's just copy paste this down. So this is basically the solution. There we go. Now here's the question. Did they randomize the names? I don't even know if this puzzle solution will work in any game besides mine. Because they might have randomized the names. That's relatively easy to do in a game. So yeah, that's it. I have the names, what they have, and their locations. Cool. Let's see if it works. Slot 1 is Kant. Yep. Slot 2 is Winslow. Slot 3 is Finch. Oops, I was already on that. Slot 4 is Not So. Slot 5 is Marcola. Oops. There we go. So slot 1 is Kant, who has the ring. Slot 2 is Winslow, who has the diamond. Oh, got it already. Slot 3 is Finch, who has the snuff tin. Already got that. Slot 4 is Not So, who has a war medal. And slot 5 is Marcola, who has the bird pendant. Yay! I solved it correctly.
Now to find Aramis Stilton.
It's time-consuming. It involved graph paper.